I've played hundreds of cozy and farming games. In fact, cozy and farming games are one of my absolute favorite genres. And with that in mind, it is safe to say that Tales of the Shire is easily one of the most expensive, yet worst games I've played in the past 5 years. Let me tell you why. So I bought it on Nintendo Switch 2, and today we're gonna be diving into the gameplay, presentation, fun factor, and everything in between. But most importantly, there's a huge deal breaker that I haven't seen anyone talk about, and you need to know about it. Squish the like and subscribe buttons if you find this video helpful, and maybe we can reach 1,000 likes so you can support the pain, misery, and agony that I had to sit through to bring this video for you. The story, without spoiling anything, centers around you and a group of hobbits who are working to transform Bywater into a proper village. You're gonna progress through the narrative by completing various quests, and they all lead up to an official assessment to see if your efforts are enough to earn the village its title. And this brings us into the gameplay loop that shapes up Tales of the Shire. And it's very important for me to start this review by talking about the gameplay first, because once we get into the presentation, I don't want people to think that I'm writing off the game just because of the presentation. You have to understand that the gameplay loop itself is one of the biggest issues here. Now, the core gameplay mechanics revolves around Tales of the Shire, which is the name of the game. These are the quests that you're gonna be completing as you move through the game's acts. Some quests show up in your mailbox, and they're automatically gonna get added to your to-do list, while others are gonna pop up as exclamation marks above the hobbit's head so you can simply talk to them. They're gonna spill their worries to you, and you got to solve them. So for example, one of the very first quests is young Tom, who has lost the family cow, so now you need to go and find Lady Buttercup. You're gonna have to feed her veggies and bring her back to his family's farm. As you complete more quests, you're gonna see that the percentage of completion is increasing, and that goes towards the current act that you're progressing through. Now, the game's biggest emphasis is on decoration, which we saw a lot in the trailers. If you like customizing your house and garden, the world is your oyster here. From changing the walls, floors, fireplace, windows, and placing or stashing items wherever you like, you have got lots of freedom to rotate and stack objects. You can even place things inside of bookshelves or on tables, which is impressive and rare to see in cozy games. I think the closest game that I've seen that offers this much customization is Palia, because even Disney Dreamlight Valley is still consistently putting out updates to offer more options to increase your decoration freedom, even after almost 3 years since its release. But as awesome as that sounds in theory, in practice, it's a clunky mess, especially with a controller. That's actually one of the first things that I haven't seen anybody mention when they talk about the Nintendo Switch Edition. Selecting, rotating, and placing objects doesn't feel intuitive, and the controls are more of a fight than a feature, because it's very difficult to select things on the spot, so you're gonna have to fiddle around a lot most of the times to pick up the right stuff. I would assume this would be better on PC with a keyboard and mouse. As for the quests, which is Exhibit A of the Snoozefest in the gameplay section, they are fetch quests with little payoff, and they feel extremely tedious. A lot of them feel like you're just a dog chasing its own tail. Case in point, when we were streaming the game, one of the very first quest lines has you looking for the Book of Rules. You're gonna spend over an hour and a half running between villagers. They're gonna say, go to X. Nope, you know what? Y maybe has it. Then they're like, no, actually, try talking to character Z. Then character Z is gonna be like, oh no, I think A took it. But guess what? A sends you back to X, where you started in the first place, and it is just cumbersome. Now, while you're doing this first quest, you are gonna learn to fish and garden, but it's all delivered in a way that feels hollow and unrewarding. And this is where I'm seeing some people go wrong when they have watched my YouTube and my TikTok short where I presented a mini review of this game. I think some of them are misunderstanding my point, whereas thankfully the majority of my community understood exactly what I meant. So for those who had a pitchfork and a little bit disrespectful and are upset that some people like myself are not enjoying the game, I see them making the assumption that I am looking for a fast-paced cozy game, and that is far from the truth. I started this video by saying that cozy and farming games are one of my favorite genres on purpose because I adore these games. I've played hundreds of them and they're my absolute favorite. So since an assumption has already been made on the mini review, I would assume then some of them might be made here, so let's clear things up. If you're new to this community, I adore games like Disney Dreamlight Valley, Hello Kitty Island Adventure, Wildflowers, Littlewood, Spiritfarer, and more. And if you've played these games, you realize that these are cozy games with a repetitive nature. But the glaring difference is that the work that you put in the quest lines of these games actually pays off with time. The more that you play, the more you actually feel rewarded. So even though we're doing the same thing every day, the reward feels amazing and satisfying, and it calls for you to want to play these games again. And that's where you get trapped into that loop of, oh my god, let me play one more hour, and then the one more hour ends up being 5. Whereas in Tales of the Shire, the rewards are not worth it. You're gonna be doing so much, and the award here is like, oh, here, take this cabbage. So I hope this clears up that this game is deeply flawed with its gameplay. The gameplay is not fun, because I also see a lot of people saying like, oh, hey, buy it on PC, it's a lot more fun there. And I'm like, do you realize that on PC, the game is not gonna change its gameplay? Sure, performance, which we're gonna have to get into in a bit, will be better, but the gameplay is still going to be the same regardless of the platform that you're gonna buy the game on. So what are the activities that you're gonna be playing so you can get a better understanding of what to expect here? So let's start with gardening. You can buy seeds or you can earn them as rewards, and you're gonna have to plant them in gardening beds around your home. You can also buy more of these gardening beds and place them however you want in the garden. You can also rearrange your crops using a shovel, and you're gonna need to water these crops daily using a watering can, or if it's raining, then you don't have to. The watering can be filled at the pond near your house, and there's a neat mechanic called companion planting, so if you plant compatible crops next to each other, you're gonna have a better chance at growing a delicious harvest. Then there's fishing, which is thankfully simple. Fish will appear at specific times in different weather conditions and seasons, and you're gonna find them at marked spots on the map. Cast your line, wait for a fish to bite, then reel in the opposite direction of where the fish is swimming. If the circle that you see here goes from yellow to orange and then hits red, the line will break. This was actually the most enjoyable part of this entire game for me. It's easy and it's fun to do. Foraging is also part of your daily tasks. You're gonna be collecting ingredients and materials around the roads and the forests. Sometimes butterflies will guide you, but nothing sparkles. So you're like, what does that mean? Let me explain. So in a world where everything blends together into a brownish green mush, it's really hard to tell what's a resource and what's simply background foliage. So you're gonna have to memorize what you can actually pick through trial and error. Of course, when you get close to a forageable item, you will see a yellow highlight, but most of the time that is not helpful, and you will discover what you can forage through the initial trial and error. These resources feed into the sharing meals with the hobbits, which is one of the very core gameplay mechanics of Tales of the Shire. You can invite them over using the desk in your house, and you can cook a meal based on what they're craving. Cooking is a bit of a puzzle. There's a texture box that you can see in the bottom right corner, and your goal is to hit your meals icon into the golden zone. And you have cooking stations which will help you do that. So for example, using the pan might make a dish more crispy or tender, whereas chopping something affects whether it's going to be smooth or chunky. As you cook, you're gonna see your dish's texture icon shift in the box, and the closer it is to the gold icon, the better off you have done. You're also gonna unlock more cooking stations as you progress through the story. However, it's a fun system in theory, but after cooking 2 to 3 meals, I began to get bored. Also, for a game that is all about cooking, all the dishes, when you are in the process of cooking them, look at them, they just look like a pile of mud in a bowl. Until you finally finish the dish and you see somehow of a bit of an appealing dish in the end product. Also, this game needs a quality of life feature such as the ability to pin recipes and track their ingredients. Right now, you're gonna constantly see yourself having to open your recipe book just to check what you're missing, so it breaks the flow and adds to the general sense of tedium. I feel like a lot of cozy games are not getting how to give us a good cooking game. I have been craving a good cooking game since forever. I grew up playing Cooking Mama and, Flow. I forgot what the name of that game was, but these, fun ones. There was also Plate Up, which was really fun. I think the most fun I've had in a cozy/farming game when it comes to cooking has been Epic Chef as well as Immortal Life. These games have actually really made cooking fun, whereas Tales of the Shire system is really boring. It's fun in the beginning, but after 2 to 3 times, you're gonna be bored of it. Now, as you work your way into making Bywater a village, which is the main quest, you're going to be unlocking a quest line that introduces you into 4 social clubs. These are going to be tied into the activities that we just talked about, which is fishing, gardening, foraging, and cooking. There's also a notice board where you can pick up extra tasks. They're simple to do, they're going to give you extra XP, and then you can upgrade things like getting a better fishing rod, a bigger backpack, garden expansions, and more. Still, these rewards don't feel exciting to unlock. I feel like the tedium that you go through, and because of how boring the initial activities are, like only fishing is fun, but even fishing doesn't require bait as far as I've played 10 hours now. I don't know, it just doesn't feel rewarding. And again, comparing this game to other cozy games, it feels dead and unlively, and these rewards do not invite you to be excited about putting in the effort. And this brings me to the issue of there is no fun factor here in my whole playtime. And it wasn't just me, it was both me and my chat during my stream. We were so bored. Moving on to friendships and romance. Hello, you gorgeous human being. First, it's Miss Bubbles. I'm happy to have you here. If you're finding this video helpful so far, do me a favor and squish the like and subscribe buttons. And consider supporting me through Ko-fi or Patreon to support all of the agony and misery that I had to sit through to bring you this review. So, a lot of you have asked me if there's romance, and there isn't here. Personally, that is not a deal breaker for me, but I know it might be for some of you. Instead, we focus here on relationships, which is similar to relationships in Hello Kitty Island Adventure. The relationship system is tied to food sharing and completing quests for hobbits. Different hobbits are gonna crave different meals depending on the season, and as you level up your friendship with them by feeding them what they love, they're gonna reward you with gifts. Sometimes it's gonna be furniture, a new item, or a new recipe. And of course, you can buy a lot of decorating items and outfits, and that's pretty much it for the gameplay loop. So be it in stream, where actually for 3.5 hours at least I had chat entertaining me, but then I had to put in another 7 hours into the game off stream because I wanted this video to still be fair and I give, the game enough time to make up my mind about it. I was just so miserable, and I don't think switching to a PC is gonna make this experience better because the core gameplay mechanic and the core gameplay loop is just boring. Now let's move into performance. And yes, I am aware that the Switch 2 version might run a tiny bit better than the Switch 1 version, but there is no Switch 2 specific upgrade. With that in mind, let's talk a bit about presentation. We're gonna start with the positives. I love the UI, I love the fonts, the layout of the encyclopedia, your menu system, the inventory, the map, your to-do list, and even the townsfolk's relationship tracker. They feel very charming and they feel like they belong to the game. theme, which is something that a lot of cozy games struggle to do, so everything fits the aesthetic. As for the dialogue, I don't mind that it's not voice acted, I'm totally fine with reading, but it really could have used some audio cues. Right now, the only thing you're gonna hear while reading dialogue is the occasional and when the music does play, it's whimsical and it fits the game perfectly. But the majority of the time, the world is silence. There's barely any ambience sounds, there's barely any sound effects, and it makes the village feel lifeless. And sadly, that lifelessness carries over to the world itself. The trailers made it look lush, vibrant, and atmospheric, which was honestly the part that I was actually excited about. But on Switch 2, it's a blurry, muddy mess, everything blends together, and even though hobbits roam around, most of them aren't interactable, most of them are bugged, like this ma'am over here who keeps phasing in and out of sitting or looks like a freaking Dracula, and visually the NPCs just look very ugly, their lashes look like broken CC content in The Sims. And moving to the Shire itself, it lacks texture and variety, and every path, bush, and patch of grass, and even trees, they just feel exactly the same. And this makes the game a nightmare to navigate. A minimap is much needed here. So for navigation, the game tries to use birds to guide you. It's sort of like how winds work in Ghost of Tsushima if you've ever played that game, but most of the time you end up just having no idea where they're pointing, and it takes a while for you to adjust to it. If you watched the stream, you saw me just pulling the map constantly, and that made things even worse because that also made sure that any sense of immersion left is completely taken away. I do appreciate that NPCs show up on the map though. Also, the lighting at night is so flat and dull, and the world somehow manages to become even uglier. The shadows barely render properly. It's just a mess. There's a day and night cycle here, and you're expected to sleep at night. If you don't, the only penalty is waking up a little bit late. But the good thing that I know some of you might appreciate is that there is no stamina bar. But that's where the convenience ends anyway. Your backpack starts very tiny, it can expand more, but because of that, expect to constantly run back home to unload your inventory. And while that's okay in games, I don't mind it, I play again these games all the time. This brings me to the chore of being inside your house that I'm not seeing anyone mention. Even my own chat was shocked because they didn't know that either, because none of the reviews that they read talked about it, and that is the camera. So you're gonna have to walk inside your home to the pantry, and if you have motion sickness, well, good luck to you. Even with the lowest camera sensitivity on Switch, which is the only available camera option, the camera constantly jerks, zooms, and shifts direction in such a jarring way that I literally got dizzy, and so did my chat, and many had to leave the stream because they couldn't bear it. Switching between zoom settings, you have 3 of them, it doesn't really help much, and inside your home, the camera movements are chaotic and disorienting. As for outside, the camera is constantly clipping into bushes and buildings and trees, and it makes it hard to see even where you're going. And even inside shops, it's an absolute nightmare, and you can see from all of this footage, I don't know how this is okay, and for people to tell me like this is okay, this is not okay, and we're not gonna act like this is a normal thing. You shouldn't be going through this chaotic of camera movements in a game. It's unacceptable. And at one point, my camera just got stuck, so now the 3 zoom options are like this. It's very close to my character, and no matter what I tried, I restarted the game, I reinstalled it, I rebooted my Switch 2, nothing is fixing it. I'm forever proud that I bring up the motion sickness side of games, and I know that a lot of you appreciate that I do, and I really appreciate you for always saying like, hey Bubbles, thank you for letting me know, because now I was able to do a better gaming purchase, and I will forever bring it up if a game causes motion sickness and I know that it's gonna make you sick. I know what it feels like to be nauseous when you're just trying to enjoy your hobby, so I'm not gonna just be quiet about it in any game and not let you know if it is a motion sickness inducing disaster. And I truly believe that it is the developer's job and responsibility to make games accessible. I don't know why on the Switch they don't really have much accessibility options for the camera, and that is not acceptable. Now, if you've been part of my community for 4 years, then you know this. And if you're new here, then let me tell you that I usually finish my review off with "this game is for you if, not for you if," and my verdict. It's a formula that I love doing, but sadly, for the first time in 4 years, we're not gonna be doing it today. I am so sick and tired of this game that I'm just going to tell you how I feel. But first, let me make this very clear. If you are playing and enjoying this game, and I know many of you are, I am truly happy for you. Nothing makes me happier than seeing gamers pay for a game and being able to have a good time with it. So I don't know why sometimes people just get offended that, oh, look, like in your face, I'm actually enjoying it. I'm like, I'm happy for you. That is actually wonderful news. And second, I need to address the elephant in the room, as I know my mods had to address a couple of comments on my YouTube short, and these comments were assuming that I did not enjoy the game due to the culture war behind it. So I hate to upset you, but this has nothing to do with that. I never base my reviews on online drama or culture war. My job in a review video or a before you buy is to tell you about the gameplay, performance, story, design, and whether or not a game is worth your money. My reviews are here to help you make purchasing decisions that you're gonna be happy about, especially when I know a lot of you always tell me that you can only afford to buy 1 to 2 games a month, sometimes even none at all. So when the game costs £35, I think this is outrageous for what the game is offering, especially when you add to that the fact that you can't refund digital purchases on the Switch and PlayStation. So if you bought it and realized it runs terribly, or you bought it and you saw that the gameplay loop is an absolute snoozefest, well, too bad, because your money is gone just like mine was. The fact that this game got released in the state is disrespectful to cozy gamers, especially on the Nintendo Switch version. And hey, at least we can say maybe on PC you're playing a boring game, but it has pretty graphics, I guess. So many of you have already told me that you regret buying this, and I believe you. Many of you told me you wish you can refund it. I wish that too, and that's actually really upsetting to see. I really hope that the developers will consider the gameplay loop and the performance. I hope that maybe somehow they can fix it. We've seen some disastrous games manage to get better with time. So yeah, that has been the chaos of a before you buy with myself and Tales of the Shire. But let me know if you bought it and how your experience is, and if you're actually looking for 20 incredible cozy games that are actually worth your cash and they are amazing, then check out this video next. Thank you to my YouTube and Patreon bubblies who make videos like this possible, and a shout out goes to The Game Dimension, Jake Logan, Yugoslav, Amanda, and Stella for going the extra mile. Until next time, stay bubbly.